Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I'm hanging out with Gathering the Magic. We're talking about Splinterlands and we're having a little hangout. We tried to have a live conversation the other day and technical difficulties prevented that. So we just made some time this afternoon to just hang out and celebrate. He's enjoying his birthday today, so we just go ahead. We're just trying to have a little chat about all things Splinterlands. Gathering, how you doing?
Good. Yeah, it's a great day.
hmm you
Can't
guys,
believe I'm a year older and hopefully a year wiser.
sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't. The age always comes, but the wisdom doesn't always.
Yeah.
So tell me
I'm just
what's
curious, do you have any idea how old I am?
uh
I don't think
I
I've ever brought it up.
I would have to guess that Gathering the Magic 1984 is not an accident. Check out his channel, guys. 1984 is probably the so that would make you 40.
I'll take that. I'll just leave it there.
My wife is celebrating her 40th birthday this month, and she is in 84. So, or is it for 84 or 83? Anyway, yeah, she's yeah 84. So she's celebrating her 40th this year. She's going to New York City with one of her lifelong buddies. But I digress. Splinterlands, how are things going with you? And like, what's um like where are you at right now with with Splinterlands, or what should we get into today?
Splinterlands. There's just so much that I want in the game. It's one of those things where it's like I see so many opportunities in so many different directions, and it's just okay, with the limited funds, what do I want to
Mm-hmm.
concentrate on more?
Mm-hmm.
I'm always looking for land. I'm always looking for deals on peak monsters.
Mm,
I still think land is greatly unappreciated for
agreed.
I think how expensive it's going to be in the future.
Yep.
The main thing I've been trying to do recently is I picked up some more plots in my main region of 43
Okay.
because I was too spread out. So I have 7 plots there now. I'm looking to sell one of the plots I have that I won actually in Splinterforge in Region 83.
Mm.
So I have one there up for sale. I think it's a common tundra.
I
And
want
then I
to.
have a rare mountain for sale in 48. But right now it's just, now that I have a few plots in the region that I want to try to build, now it's just trying to come up with funds for worker cards.
What's your
So
main?
looking at Jovac, Jovak. So you can check out my land there.
This is Baron's Toolbox, guys. Check it out. And so you've got 12 land cards on that account. Do you have others on other accounts that you're interested in? Like, is that what you how you handled it? You separated, or are they just one account across different regions?
Yep, they're just one account. Yep, this is all my land right here.
Mm.
So have 2 plots that I have up for sale. The 2 plots I just recently picked up and I was so happy were they were both rare and they were both lakes because I'm still saying grain is going to be very hard to come by, I think, two,
Mm.
3 months after 2.0 goes live.
Mm.
Just for the sake that there's only 4 different types of land that can produce grain, and you have 14 different land types.
Mm.
So you've got 4 types trying to support another 10. So everyone's going to have a huge glut of grain because we've all been building up grain. You know, it's going to be months and months before
Mm.
2.0 comes out. I think about 3 or 4 months later, you're going to start to see a grain shortage. So
Yeah,
I really want to load up on plots that can produce grain.
I think you're right about that. And I knew that those changes were coming, but I haven't thoroughly looked into it myself, like in terms of preparing, because things will change. Like right now, I've got a variety of different, like let's look at it. So I've got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of my 20 plots that are constructed are producing grain. And I think now that I've just recently switched two of them over, like two of these ones that are grain here were very recently, I think SPS, and I moved them into grain because I was in a deficit, and by about 15,000 a day, I was losing grain 15,000 a day. Fortunately, I had a large glut to rely on, but as you can see, I'm only at 82,000 stockpiled, so I'm very much like I need to look at that. I don't know which
The
of my
best place to do it is just where you were at on Baron's Toolbox. Now, I know you can filter. I don't know if you could do multiple filters. On Baron's Toolbox on the left-hand side, you can actually sort by terrain type.
Mhm.
And I know there's 4 different types that will allow you to produce grain, but I don't think you can select all four of them at once.
So this
So on
is
the very left-hand side with all the icons,
mm,
you can sort by, because I know it's bogs, rivers, lakes, and plains are the four that you want to look for, but I think you can probably only do those one at a time.
plains, lakes,
Lake, river, and then bog.
okay, river. So those two, and wherever bogs. Okay, let's start with
Bog.
bogs. So I've got no bogs,
So none.
and then I've got lakes. I have one lake,
That's good. It's an epic.
plain, no plains, and one river. So I've got one
Okay,
river.
so just going by that, you are going to be very, very deficient
Yeah.
in grain if you want to be self-sufficient.
Wow, that's a very startling revelation right there. You like just kind of blew my mind. Um, so I need to I like right now I'm operating with 10 of my locations producing grain, 10 of them. And right now
Uh,
with this I'm only going to have two. I need 8 new grain producing at minimum because if I only bring on 8 more, now I actually have 28 plots of land that I would try to be governed with 10 grain producing plots. So I probably actually need like maybe it's I don't know. Do you think like maybe 10 or 12? Like cuz again I
it
would
depends. Yeah, it depends on the rarity. I mean, if you can pick
mm,
up maybe three or four more epics with that 40% bonus, and then if you throw a title and a totem on there, those couple plots could really produce a lot of grain. But then there's the cost factor as well, because I know epics are probably $150 to $200 a piece. But
mhm,
then again, you're in Gankland, so even though you don't have a lot of grain, you know a lot of people in that region, and it's going to come down to trading. 'Cause you're going
that's
to be
right.
producing probably a lot of stone and wood, so you can trade that for the grain that you need.
Yeah, theoretically, but I don't really want first of all I want more plots of land in the first like regardless. Like I would love to have 100 again. I don't know if I maybe I could approach Gank and sort something out, but I see that there's nothing on Peak Monsters from let's see 023. Yeah, no, there's nothing in for sale currently in that region. But how does it work again? So if I'm in region 23, but somebody like I do I have to have all of my grain producing in region 23 or can
No,
it
you can send grain. You can send grain anywhere, but if you send it to a different region, you're going to have that tax penalty. And I think it's what is it, 12.5%?
mhm.
And then that may be able to be reduced with the whole mechanic of the salt tokens and that
Mm,
deal.
yeah.
But there will be a penalty to send it outside the region, but you are able to do that.
So and 23 is yeah, that's a full that's a I'm getting confused by the lingo if that's my tract or let me see. So I'm in yeah, okay. So all of my things are in region 23, but they're across a variety of different tracts.
As
Um,
far as I know, the tracks don't matter as long as it's in the same region.
I think that's true. But see that further
As of
confirms
now, yep.
that further confirms that I need like I really need to approach probably I need to approach Gang because I don't really want to be looking at 10 12%, and I know that he's got extras that he's not going to need. So I'm going to before I forget, I'm going to send him a quick little message. But this is I'm super glad we're chatting about this.
This is something that I think a lot of people haven't thought about. And this is something I've wanted to raise kind of a flag is, people are so used to getting free grain right now because that's basically one of three things you can make. So it's like, yeah, might as well just make grain. But going forward, you're not going to be able to. And if you're someone that owns, let's say you own a track, and that track is primarily, mountains or swamps or calderas or whatever, you're going to have 100 plots of land, maybe only 10 of them, have the right terrain type where you can produce grain. And there's no way your 10 plots are going to support the other 90.
So
So that's
it's
why I'm saying I think there's going to be a big grain shortage. And it's not going to happen right away because we're going to have huge stockpiles that we've been building up. But who knows, 6 months down the road after 2.0 comes out, you're going to have a big grain shortage.
mm-hmm. So it's lake, river, bog, and plain.
Yes.
Okay, one.
So that's what I sort by when I go on Peak Monsters every morning. I go on Peak Monsters. I check building in a box, and I check those 4 land types and see if there's good deals out there.
Mm, I,
So yeah, I was checking region 43 every day, and then when I saw there was 2 rare rivers available, I'm like, thank you, sold.
more or fewer. Okay. That ball is rolling because man, I'm I'm convinced, and I think you are too, that this is the moment in time where people are not who take it, they're taking it as they're sleeping on land to the biggest degree that they probably ever will. Like they right now we feel like 1.5 is boring. Even Matt himself said the word like it's boring. Um, that tells me that people just don't respect what this is going to be. Because if you did, if you really thought about what this is gonna be, you'd be excited in this moment, like you are with Splinterforge, like you are with Bronze League participation in Splinterlands, and like I carry the same thing. I'm at a different level in this game and whatnot. But I mean, I totally feel you. Like this is gonna be really, I think, a life changing opportunity, and I don't want to be caught, you know, flat-footed. Like even I don't know if we within the context of this video did we talk about the Lily Shield Paw and how its prices spiked. I think it was the other video we recorded. But if
Yeah,
going from $9, $8 to 14 this week, that just if you were waiting on something and that goes and happens in front of you, like or um Grim Barton Smith going from $1 to $5, or Mantaroth going from 25 to 50. You think these things are going to wait for you, and then they don't. And then right in front of you, prices change in a dramatic way. And now, maybe you're priced out of land. I don't want to be that guy. And I think, I appreciate your thoughtfulness for the future, because that's the game within the game, thinking through things now, not waiting for it to happen and then making a sort of a impulsive response. You got to prepare. You got to be thoughtful in advance. Hey.
yeah, and it's so hard to do. I mean, you look at tokens, and every time you see a green candle, it's like, oh, you want to rush in and buy into it. But a lot of times that opportunity is already passed, and then
Mm-hmm.
you buy into it, and then the next day you see a red candle, and you're like, frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
What I try to do with this is, I draw on my background of watching basically the history that I grew up with Magic the Gathering, and how it started slow and started small, niche following, and then just grew and exploded.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if Splinterlands will ever get to the point Magic the Gathering has, but I kind of look at the same pathway that game followed, where cards were looked at as being overprinted, mass produced, they're not worth anything. You get used to them being a certain price point, and then you're surprised when they go 10, 20, 50 times the original price years down the road. And
Yeah.
I can see that with Splinterlands. So one of the things I'm trying to focus on more too is, of course, there's so much that I want to get, is packs.
Mm-hmm.
Chaos Legion packs under $1, I think, are just an absolute steal. And it's one of those things where 5 years from now, you'll be kicking yourself going, oh my God, why didn't I load up on a few thousand Chaos packs when they were under $1?
Yep.
Now that there are many multiples of that in the future, and it kind of, I don't want to say irks me, but just kind of it makes me shake my head when I hear people talking about, oh, there's too many cards, and oh, we need to burn them, and all
Mm-hmm.
this and that. And I'm like, you're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
So years down the road. So
Yeah.
other people talk about burning, I talk about hoarding. So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. People, there's such a there's a psychology term around this. I forget what it's called exactly. It's the idea that whatever is happening right now, you think will go on forever. Now this happens with your own life. You think you're a healthy, 30, 40, 50 something, and you're like, well, I'm always going to be healthy. You don't ever say that to yourself, but it's this belief that you rest in without even a conscious thoughtfulness about it. And we do that with investing. We say to ourselves, the stock market has always gone up, therefore it always will. The real estate market has always gone up, therefore it always will. Chaos Legion have just dropped in price since their inception. They always will. They'll never be expensive. It's such short-sightedness, and it's really as simple as they are finite in nature. There's only so many copies. There's constantly burning pressure because people are consolidating BCX to make higher and higher levels. There's a growth of player base, and that'll continue to soak up these Chaos Legion cards and packs. And finally, we're expecting burn events to happen. So for all those reasons, it to me the writing's on the wall. But someone will hear this and they'll say, yeah, well, but it hasn't yet, and therefore they assume it never will. And I can't, and you can't, convince them. They're not. They don't even want to be. Right? It's not a real thoughtful conversation. It's just it's an emotional response maybe because they bought for $4 or five, or vouchers were $20, remember? And so in some sense, voucher Chaos Legion packs cost 25 bucks at the early going. And with that in mind, maybe there's a sunk cost and people just refuse to kind of, they're too burned by that process or situation. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, the thing you have to remember too is you look at the cheapest pack, Chaos Legion. You also have to realize too that, as the years go by and Chaos Legion goes up in price, that's going to push up the price of all other packs.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of standard right now that Chaos is the cheapest. Well, if Chaos hits 2, 3, 4, Rebellion's not going to stay at 3 or 4.
Mm-hmm.
Rift Watchers isn't going to stay at 3 or 4.
Yep.
That's going to get pushed up. Then you look at Untamed, probably the most underappreciated pack that's out there with the amazing, amazing cards it has. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Kitty, you've got Jotun, you've got Kron, you've got Llama, you've got all these iconic cards, and the packs aren't at least $20. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I had the funds, I'd be loading up on Untamed.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, all these pack prices are going to be higher. And now, of course, I'm not saying that's not going to happen overnight. It's probably not going to happen this year. But 2, 3, 4 years down the road, as you get another 6, 8, 10 sets that come out, and new players are going to be like, hey, I wasn't around in Chaos Legion. I want to grab some packs. I wasn't around during Rebellion
Mm-hmm.
and Rift Watchers, and packs will slowly disappear. You can always turn a pack into a single. You can't turn a single into a pack. So
Yeah. And that makes me think about the reward cards because people think, you said the other pack prices, they have like this anchor in a sense. You're not going to see Rebellion or Rift Watcher packs go, or for that matter, Untamed packs double in price while there's this 90-cent pack that's out there. Because a lot of people who are playing this game, most people do not have a max Chaos Legion deck. Even some of them, sort of the diehards, like guys like Aftersound, he has like a really strong, I think, diamond gold deck. But he's one of the guys that covers this every day, 4 or 5 videos a day. And if a guy like him doesn't have max everything in chaos, it tells you that as long as there's a set like that most people or almost everybody lacks and yet is super cheap, well, that's going to be an anchor to all other card prices. And I bring it up in the context of reward cards because we're going to see soulbound reward cards become unlockable pretty soon, 5 months from now maybe, and that is going to be a new card supply to the system. And if they are particularly cheap, it does undermine the overall value of other cards. I'm not saying that this is the whole burn value conversation. I don't know what the number is. Maybe it shouldn't be 18x. That's the big complaint. It shouldn't be, but I don't know. But I'm saying if they make them really cheap, it does undermine the other card assets. No one's going to rush out and buy, like very few people are going to rush out and buy a $4 or a $5 pack when they lack the 90-cent pack. Like the 90-cent pack is still in your price, or I mean, still something you desire, still something that would help you, and you can get 4 of them for the same dollar.
yep,
That's crazy.
yep. And there's great cards in Chaos Legion.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic cards. I would say there's very few cards I would consider a dud in Chaos Legion that
Hmm.
I haven't played at least in some point.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
I mean, yeah,
some.
look at that list and show me a card that it's like, oh, I would never play that card.
Mhm.
There's not very many.
The easiest way to look at
I
that,
think
just
they
quick.
did a great job with designing the set.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. It's a strong, and if I would say one of the best indicators is, as I look at it, is definitely the data that comes out of Splinter Coach. When you use this tool and you come and you look at your summoners, at least my summoners, because I have a chaos deck, what I find is that the summoners are far more, like, they have great win rates. Like all of those legendary summoners are very powerful, and they play a lot of reps. It's not like they are niche. Lily Shieldpaw. Look at that. What is it? I
Yep.
don't know if it's hidden behind my picture. 373 wins and 266 losses. That's a 584 win record. And that's a huge reliance. Like I play this all the time. It's a even with the recent bump in price, only $14 times 11. You're talking $150. And I don't think it's even maybe that much. It's something like that. 155 or something for a max legendary summoner that excels, that wins often, that plays in a lot of contexts. Immortalis is another one. Great win record, huge participation, like play it all the time. Quixodevious as well. Conqueror Yasik. Thaddeus Brood are the best of the rares. Exceptional.
Yep.
203 and out of 201 losses. That's exceptional. So if these cards you don't have them and they win so often, man, and the prices are there, of course, focus fire that as opposed to chasing after some of the other things. Even though Rebellion's cool, even though Rift Fortress is cool, you know, it's about stretching your dollar.
I think you could get a max gold foil Kelia for under $100.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is just ridiculous. I think you could do that with all the gold rare summoners. Because I think the cheapest is around 250-ish. I think Kelly was like 450 last I looked. You
Max
need what,
Kelia,
22 copies?
Max Kelia
Yeah.
right here, $90.
Yeah.
And but I'd buy Thaddeus before I bought Kelia. Kelia plays more, like more reps. Blue is enticing, maybe that's why, like that speed in the armor. But Thaddeus wins 500 like half the time,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
I use Thaddeus all the time. I am always worried, especially in bronze and silver, about going up against Magic. So if I see green is available, I always play Thaddeus Brood
This is
just for
interesting.
the -1 Magic.
Look at the price differential here. Thaddeus $3, Kelia 4, and I just showed you good reliable data that Thaddeus wins. You know, has a better win percentage. Maybe I play Kelia more, but if I reduced how often I played Kelia, I could get like a 500 win record. But I'm saying like they're at least comparable, and maybe Thaddeus is better, and yet it's a 30% discount on the Kelia, and that's the gold foil, by the way. So you can come into the regular and save even more. 35 cents per BCX on this guy. $40 for a max. Look at that. $27 for a max
Wow.
on Thaddeus right now on a regular. Great prices, great
Yeah, I've been
cards.
wanting to get my silver account more into gold. I think I might start picking up a lot of these rare summoners and
Mm.
getting them to max gold to start growing my account.
Cool, man. I've got to get going pretty quick here to go get the kiddos from school, but any last thoughts on like I don't know, land, Chaos Legion, rewards, airdrops, like anything?
Well, like I said earlier, the one point I want to leave everyone with, and I mentioned this, but I can't talk about it enough, is don't sleep on grain. Don't think that grain is going to be something that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be
Mm-hmm.
super abundant. Don't give away your grain cheap right now to sell it to just, get some quick DEC.
Yeah.
If you are planning on being in land long term, 2.0 and beyond, and you don't have the correct terrain types, you're going to be in trouble
Mm-hmm.
unless you really want to spend a lot of your resources basically trading for the grain.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be self-sufficient, go to Peak Monsters, check building in a box, look up rivers, bugs, lakes, and rivers. Make sure you look at those 4 land types that can produce grain, and get prepared for land 2.0.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You've got me sparked on that. I'm definitely going down that angle. Even if I have to acquire them out of region and pay the transfer fees, I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna become self-sufficient.
And definitely look for the rares. I think the rares are undervalued compared to the commons because a rare is basically a built-in totem.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get a rare around, 55, $60 and it's the right terrain type for grain, it's definitely good. And if it's in your region, it's a no-brainer.
Fog,
Yep.
lake,
River.
boom, boom. So these are my cheapest rares, $40 right there with the shard mine on it. Um, that's in now it would be ideal really if you could get them if you could at least get them in one, hey, like right here, 123, all in 138. Now I would love it if I got them in 23, but at least these three are like side by side, hey? Do you think that
Yep.
matters?
Um, check building in a box. That's something I think that's important too, is you're going to probably want to have the building in the box if you can get it as well. And now look at how cheap the cheapest prices are.
Hmm.
They're not so cheap anymore.
These ones have unstable totems. Hey, that's Vetby. Do you think it's important that I look for the same region to some extent? Like some.
Yeah, if you can get a couple at least in the same region.
Hmm. Interesting, man. Very interesting. All right.
Just something definitely to keep an eye out. So if you're patient, like I was patient with my region 43, you know, you're not going to have any from Gankland from 23 come up for sale. But if you are in a different region, just be patient, guys. You know, and check Peak Monsters, you know, and just look for things in your region. Get on Discord, talk with some of your friends or guild mates, and say, hey, I'm looking at picking up these certain terrain types. Would you be interested in selling them? But definitely start the process now to get ready.
Mm-hmm. Okay, guys. Thanks for your time and attention. Go check out Gathering the Magic 1984. Have an amazing day. God bless. Happy birthday, buddy.
Oh, thank you.
Bye for now.